Reading of the consent agenda.
Okay, thank you. If any member of the public wishes to speak on any of the consent agenda items, we only ask that you state your name for the record and please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Does any member of the public wish to comment on any of the consent agenda items? Dave, could you see if someone's online for the consent agenda?
There is not.
Okay, thank you. See no one for the consent agenda. I'll close comments from the public and ask for council for a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, have a motion, a second. Call for the question.
Councilmember Chamberlain,
Yes.
Fry,
Yes.
Coughlin,
Yes.
Robelowski,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Mochler,
Yes.
Younger.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, I guess now we'll go on to public hearings.
Item 4A, public hearing on ordinance number 5519, recognizing the 1896 vacation right-of-way on 26th Street west of Finney Bay Drive. Presenter is Managing Engineer Gunnar Frederickson.
Yes, good evening, City Council. Thank you for this time. What you have before you is the public hearing for the recognizing this is not actually a street vacation. The street was vacated by operation of law in 1896, but rather a cleanup and acknowledgement of that vacation. Just for a little history, the Washington State Legislature passed a non-user statute in 1890 that any county road that remains unopened to the public after 5 years after the plat is recorded, that it is automatically vacated by operation of law and returns to the adjacent property owners. This roadway was created by the plat of Sheridan in volume 2 of plats, page 12, May 18th, 1891, and was originally called Clay Street. There was no evidence that this roadway was open to the public by May 18th, 1896. There is no road there to date. The first adjacent home to this roadway was constructed in 1925, and they used Finney Bay Drive for access to that road. The area was not annexed into the city until May 12th, 1961, with ordinance number 2442. And again, the roadway remains unopened. The city did construct a sewer line through here with LID 311 in 1974. Other than that, the city has not really done anything with this right of way. We completed a similar vacation by operation of law for Wyckoff Avenue north of 26th Street in June of 2006 with resolution number 2995. This portion of Wyckoff that was vacated back then was also part of this plat of Sheridan. And we do not address these. We do not go looking for these, but we address them as they come up. And with that, I would say any questions, please.
Thank you, Mr. Frederickson. So I'm going to open the public hearing. Purpose of the public hearing is to accept public comment and action is anticipated. So does any member of the public wish to comment on this item?
Jose Camacho, Rock the Block, friend of Smith Cole. It's a pretty crowded house here. A lot of people came here wanting to talk and you have shut the public down. I'm commenting on this citation to an over century-old law that supposedly the city is honoring. So this will take a legal analysis. The attorneys have checked out for 2 years, as far as I can tell. How do we trust the analysis here is kosher? How do we know that? How do we know whether you care that it's legit or not? Because if I start talking about the quality of legal analysis, if I start talking about land use decision-making, which is a stagecraft and a sham, and that certain planning commissioners took part in it, how do I talk about that without you shutting me down? This is what the DCD and the city attorney do. According to your study session, if I start going into the history of the quality, the misconduct underlying DCD, I will be shut down. It will be called derogatory, according to Coughlin. And that's not true. As a public member, we are allowed to look at the credibility of public servants and public officers. If it wasn't for what's going on in the city, the corruption, I would have no need to ever look at you guys in the face. And believe me, I look forward to that day. But since I have engaged as a citizen, because I have witnessed wrongdoing in this kind of non-analysis, so tell me, seriously, what is the public supposed to do when we have legit criticisms? Because obviously you guys don't care if the quality of analysis is rigged, okay? It's intentional misconduct. There's only one way to call that and give it actual meaning. We need to participate in public processes. This is where it happens. In particular, if the council is awry, I need to come to council and tell you you are awry, and we have done that. But because you guys didn't like me telling the truth,
Mr. Camacho.
you have shut.
Mr.
this-
Camacho, can you summarize, sir? Just stay germane to the topic, and so
Someone left their phone here.
you're,
That was my topic. How do we trust you? We can't, because you'll shut us down. That was my comment.
thank you, Mr. Camacho. Anyone else in the public wish to comment on this item? Again, this needs to be germane to the ordinance number 5519 to recognize the 1896 vacation of 26th Street lying west of Finney Bay by operation of law of the public right of way, not an attack on city employees. Go ahead, please.
My name is Kathy Lustig. I live in Anatai. I'll speak to the topic of a vacation of right-of-way of a utility. My understanding is the city of Bremerton has several easements off of one in particular off the end of Holman that is in the UGA.
So I'm sorry, Miss, does this have to do with the 26th Street in this area?
It has to do with the vacation of a right-of-way at the end of Holman for an easement. I'm trying to stay on topic.
But that's not the topic right now. Council, am I correct in this? It's not the topic.
Okay, maybe I'll have another opportunity to present that. It's where the city doesn't want to vacate a right-of-way they haven't used for stormwater that they're dumping
Thank
into Anatai Creek.
Thank you. Anyone else for comment? Dave, checking online.
There's nobody online.
Go ahead,
Sorry,
go ahead, sir.
I'm Wesley Weaver. I own the parcel directly to the north of this particular situation. I own the property directly to the north of this particular proposed vacation. I do know that there were some people that had specific concerns with this vacation, not just vacations of right away in general. And there was some discussion about it possibly becoming a park. There was some discussion about it possibly being protected habitat. I think there's a disconnect between what people think the property is, seeing as the access is at probably an 80-degree slope from the road. There's no safe way to get down there. And then there's another 80-degree, 30-foot slope to the waterfront. So there's no feasible way to put a park or anything there for that matter. And what this boils down to is the city trying to save thousands of dollars a year maintaining a property that should realistically be maintained by the people who are adjacent to it. Specifically garbage dumping, which happens directly onto my property. And since I've taken it over, I've been able to address and remediate that to a much higher extent than I think it was David Cullison, who owned the property beforehand, who was not, well, he became a ward of the state. So he was not able to take care of that sort of thing. And I think in this particular case, I am not addressing all vacations of all right-of-ways or utilities, but in this particular case, that property is going to be much better taken care of by the people who are invested in that property, as we're the only ones with access to it realistically, and we're the only ones that actually care to maintain it. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? Dave, last time confirming, no one online?
There's no one online.
Thank you, sir. I'm closing the meeting for public comment, closing the public hearing, and now go to the council for motion. Councilmember Chamberlain,
Sure. Move to pass ordinance number, let me just make sure I got it right. Yep. Move to pass ordinance number 5519 to recognize the 1896 vacation of 26th Street lying west of Finney Bay Drive by operation of law to the public right of way.
do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any comments from the council? Councilmember Chamberlain?
Oh, no, I really appreciate Mr. Weaver's testimony in that, and I think that goes right along, a really great presentation we got from Mr. Frederickson. Good work all around on this. That's all I really have to say. Thank you.
Councilmember?
Just a ditto on that, and it's always fascinating to dig into the history of the city.
Vice President Ribelowski?
I feel that staff did a really great job researching this. And it had been vacated by the state already over 100 years ago. This is just cleaning up the paperwork and the title. So I'm very much in favor of passing this.
Councilmember Mockler?
Thanks. The staff did do a great job researching this. I've looked at this law 6 ways from Sunday because I really didn't want it to be true. And it just is. This is the law. This is a correct interpretation of the law to the best of my ability. I was very happy to hear from Mr. Weaver that the garbage had been removed. That was, my understanding was it was household garbage as well as a great deal of construction debris, which was the original complaint here. I am sorry that we can't figure out any way. Is it Gunnar, is it really an 80-degree slope? You can just nod or shake your head. Okay. Okay, the 30% is what I had remembered. Thank you, Gunnar. Mr. Frederickson. So I have no choice. The facts are facts. The law is the law. This is going to get we're going to acknowledge the 1896 vacation of this.
Any further comment from the council? Seeing none. None from Councilmember Fry. Okay, seeing none.
I have no questions. Thank you, though.
Thank you. Seeing none, I call for the question.
Councilmember Fry,
Yes.
Coughlin,
Yes.
Ribelowski,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Mockler,
Yes.
Chamberlain,
Yes.
Younger.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Next on the agenda is item 4B, public hearing on ordinance number 5520, approving vacation on the north half of the north-south alley located between 5th and 6th Streets west of Veneta Avenue. Presenter is again Managing Engineer Gunnar Frederickson.
Thank you again. This is a very straightforward vacation request by the Star of the Sea Catholic Church. They're looking to do an expansion on the campus. This will allow them to construct the building for their students. The alley is not anything that the city really needs at this time for circulation. Plus, it provides removing a potential conflict point for the upcoming 6th Street active transportation project, and staff supports this request to vacate this portion of the roadway.
So the purpose of this public hearing is to accept public comment. Action is anticipated. And now opening up the hearing to the public. Does any member of the public wish to comment on this item?
Jose Camacho, Rock the Block, friend of Smith Cove. You have 2 vacation matters before the council. and we are supposed to take the word of people that we know have misled the public. I'm making an oral public record act request for the analyses on both of these vacation matters presented today by the city attorney. If not the city attorney, whoever the heck is pretending they actually care and do analysis in this town. Thank you.
Anyone else? Dave, can you check online for me, please?
There's nobody online.
Thank you, sir. See no more public comment. I close the public hearing. Turn to the council for a motion. Councilmember Coughlin.
Sure. Move to pass ordinance number 5520 to vacate the north half of the north-south alley lying west of Benita Avenue between 6th and 5th Streets.
Second.
Motion and a second. Do we have any comments from the council? Councilman Coughlin?
I think just real quick, Mr. Frederickson, does the Catholic Star of the Sea Church compensate the city for the amount of property there?
Yes, sir, that is correct. This is classified as Class 2 right-of-way, meaning we do not own it in fee title. We have an easement over it, but it has been fully developed. It has been paved and had a driveway to it. So we'll be receiving 50% compensation for the property.
Perfect. And do you know the approximate amount of that, what it comes out to be?
It's roughly about $20,000.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And thank you for doing the due diligence on this and the hard work and working well with the local organization. Appreciate it.
Any other comments from the council?
I'll just quickly say, as I mentioned in study session, this was a really great progressive revenue stream as opposed to other ways of generating revenue. Thank you. That's all.
Vice President Revlowski.
Yeah, this parcel is in my district, this alley, and it's never used. It never was used. And if it allows the church to build a new school on that property, it's valuable. And it's valuable that we get paid for right of way that is no longer in use and wasn't used before anyway. Thank you for your work on this, Mr. Frederickson.
Okay. See no other questions. I'll call for the question.
Councilmember Coughlin,
Yes.
Revlowski,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Mochler,
Yes.
Chamberlain,
Yes.
Fry,
Yes.
Younger.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay,
This
that
con-
concludes public hearings, and now we'll turn to our clerk for the general business item, please.
General business item 5A, renewal of lease agreement with the United States of America regarding historic building 50, also known as Puget Sound Navy Museum. Presenter is Contracts Administrator Melinda Monroe.
Welcome, Mr. Monroe. The floor is yours.
Good evening, council, and I do have a presentation here, so I'm gonna pull it up. Thank you so much. I'm here to present the renewal of the States of America for 50. Have several states to share with you. 2006 and as many are states to the ownership and we provide detailed environmental studies and design use that allow parties to increase for other property in the concern of the side found the USFL access historic building 50, the Bremerton Fountain Entrance Park along Pacific Avenue, and the development of the Washington State Ferry Burwell Tunnel that goes from the Washington State Ferry to Burwell Street. Finally, the placement of historic building 50 at 251 First Street, creating what we know today as the Puget Sound Navy Museum. museum now sits at the end of Pacific Avenue, adjacent the entrance to the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard, adjacent the Washington State Ferry Terminal entrance, and at the entrance to the City of Bremerton Harborside Fountain Park. The Harborside Fountain Park, which was one of the benefits received by the city and citizens of the Bremerton, serves as a walkable green space among the commercial district of the downtown core for both downtown core residents and tourists and visitors to the city of Bremerton. In addition, this building is often used by the Kitsap Conference Center to service their outdoor events and is available for use for renters of the Harborside Fountain Park. During this time, there are a variety of land transactions. These are just a few of them. In addition, we had transactions occurring down on Park Avenue, allowing for the building of the CIA entrance and the construction of the Kitsap Conference Center and the Hampton Hotel. In discussions for the renewal of this agreement, we have a consideration for request for utility responses and have looked into a variety of aspects of the renewal in this agreement, the care that the city provides, as well as the care that the DoD provides for this building. As this museum is an official DoD Navy entity, it's supported by congressional appropriations administered by the U.S. Navy History and Heritage Command in Washington, D.C. And the operation of this building requires cooperation between the city of Bremerton and the DoD. The city supports the general maintenance of Building 50, including general HVAC maintenance, water and electrical service, building systems, including our fire alarm systems. The Navy Museum Foundation, with the support of the Navy, provides janitorial services, garbage services, and funds the operation of managing volunteers for staffing the museum, as well as the placement of exhibits and care for those exhibits. So as we reviewed those items and the annual cost to the city, which is around $50,000, we also looked into the utilities for the building. There are three main areas of utilities that the city provides service for: the water and sewer services agreement, valued at $3,500 per year for this building, and it is part of our Puget Sound Naval Utility Services Agreement between the city and the Navy, as well as our broadband data connections, which provide primarily the fire alarm services, as well as any other desired network connection to the building, with the annual value of $2,000, and the electrical service to the building offered through the city's Puget Sound energy accounts and valued at $14,000 annually. The city is requesting and agreeing with a 10-year agreement, 10-year lease renewal, with maintained coverage for maintenance and utilities provided by the city, and the operations of exhibits, staffing, volunteering, garbage service provided through the Puget Sound Navy Museum Foundation and the United States Navy. City staff do not recommend requesting the cost of utilities at this time. This has been only 20 years since the initial land transfers. There are a variety of policies tied into the sure maintenance and continued operations in this building. And city staff is in agreement with the request for a $0 lease renewal. And with that, does council have any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Monroe. Does any member of the public wish to comment on this item? Mr. Sorensen, can you check online, please?
There's nobody on.
Okay. Public comment and seems like you're carrying. You want to be on again?
Move lease for real United States of America for occupancy of historic building. Stay the same terms, conditions.
Don't have a second? Okay, comments? Councilman Goodnow, you have a comment?
No public one.
We already did that.
Oh, geez. We've had some discussion about this, but it's just a bit of a, well, it's not even that long standing of an agreement. But this, the current contract was, created as part of the whole restructuring of the downtown. And that, I think we're interested in maybe finding a different solution to where to the obligations that we get from the museum at this point. But I think it's also relatively new in the life of what's gone on there when we compare it with some of the work that was done and some of the land that was given to the city and things like that. So yeah, I don't really have any other comments.
Okay, well, I made the I seconded, so I guess I can jump order here a little. So folks, this came before us during study session, like most agenda bill items, last Wednesday. And so you're aware the lease agreement calls for $0 in rent payment. And we had discussion, actually I brought it up. Hey, how about we see that they pay approximately $20,000 or the city does in utilities, as Ms. Monroe pointed out, for things like electricity and water, heating, et cetera. And we thought, and that's in addition to the upkeep, which I believe the city, and I agree with, wants to maintain the building that we own. That's in our best interest to do that. So we asked for Ms. Monroe to negotiate with the Navy and say, hey, could you at least pay the utilities? And she came back during her presentation there, you'll see. By the way, I downloaded the packet again, Ms. Monroe, and I didn't see that presentation. Maybe for the record, your second presentation, your updated one, to make sure that's in the packet. But she did a great job of explaining the materiality here on this. So for $20,000 a year for the last 20 years, that's $400,000. I mean, the expenses weren't that high way back then, but we received all that value from the Navy and continue to have a partnership with the Navy to this date, including all the improvements that are being done at the shipyard. And so I guess the administration is saying we received more than fair value on the onset, and therefore this amount of utility payment is immaterial, and that's the argument. Looking at the big picture, I can understand that materiality argument. So Dave, could you pull up that slide that shows all that we received during the transaction? So in addition to building 50, Ms. Monroe pointed out that we were able to construct Harborside Fountain Park. We had the park sale right there in, by the entrance, the Bremerton fountains, all that property, and the development of the Washington State Ferry Burwell Tunnel. So I was actually on council during all that. Certainly with the tunnel, I remember Congressman Dix coming before the council in the old building. And that was somewhat controversial, but I digress. We certainly received a lot of value up front, so I can understand the position of continuing to maintain the building that we own. And I can see the argument either way for paying utilities. Is it worth jeopardizing our relationship over 20,000 a year on utilities? That's the question. Speaking of question, anyone else have comments? Vice President Revlovsky.
Well, last year we were told that they were doing a 1-year lease extension. And at that time, we raised the question that, several of us on council wanted more than $0 a year because of all the, expenses. So besides the utilities, this is a really expensive building to maintain. For instance, we had to put in historic wooden gutters. And there's been other big expenses to it, so I'm not saying that the Navy should be paying for this, but every single one of those projects that Ms. Monroe listed, we used our real estate excise tax as match money, a substantial amount. Like if you add them up together, it's over $1 million worth of REIT money that the residents of Bremerton have donated to all these projects downtown. In fact, for years, we did nothing except things downtown. There's no projects anywhere else. We also put in rapid flashing beacons downtown for shipyard workers 15 years before we put in any for our school children. And we did the same on Burwell. And I just think that every single other building that the city owns, such as the Admiral, the Community Theater, just to name a few, they pay their utility bill. It's not a lot to ask for. It's 20,000. So a year. And frankly, I would like to get more, but I'll settle for 20,000. And this contract was bought to us very late. I mean, it expires today, I believe, the last one. And the first time we had a real discussion about this was last week, even though last year we had mentioned that we wanted some more in-depth analysis on this lease. So I don't support a $0 lease for this property.
Okay, Councilmember Mockler.
Thanks, Council President. So risking our good relationship with the Navy by asking for what we receive from every other city-owned property, the utilities. I think we should also think about those of us who were at the 6th Street multimodal open house. You saw the right turn lanes on Naval and why there were 4 alternatives, some of which cost $2.3 million. That is because for 1 hour every morning, those right turn lanes could be used to facilitate travel to the Naval Gate, which other counselors have told us is no longer in heavy use since the Charleston Gate opened. This is just one of the many huge expenditures that we have made or are making or are contemplating making in order to facilitate the transmission of naval people, of ship workers in and out of Bremerton. Basically, a ton of money. And I don't think that the Navy is, I think that they're open to us, look for you to, and come with a plan that pays you to. So I cannot support this bullet zero. Thanks.
Coughlin.
Honestly, you partnership with it as and council now that grew up by side, and sometimes we get along and sometimes we butt head up. And I really do love that Navy Museum. It's some place I bring everybody who comes fresh into town, and amazing exhibits and great history. But I think I'm gonna say it loud, I'm probably gonna abstain from this vote because I don't find myself impartial on this. And I think as folks know, I volunteered for the Kitsap History Museum right on 4th Street downtown for many, many years now. And that the organization, the Historical Society, owns that building. And we have to pay for every ounce of upkeep on that building. And we just got a new roof that took about 4 years of planning to scrape together enough donations to do a grant through the state. That was a 2-year process to get 1/3 of the cost of the roof. To get that going, we have to pay all our own utilities, which have been increasing significantly over the past several years. We've worked hand in hand with Puget Sound Energy to try and decrease energy costs as much as possible and really scrape every dollar. And I just find myself looking at this with an equity lens. And I find myself personally frustrated, which is why I'm not impartial on this. I also appreciate the argument about other city-owned buildings paying utilities. And so I do want to look at what's fair to folks and what's fair among organizations. And the city, essentially, we know the historical reasons why, but the city supporting one organization over another at different amounts and levels when they are similar types of organizations. And I'm not impartial on this, so I'm going to abstain. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Chamberlain.
Yeah, so I think the reason I'm hesitant to go along with this is we are facing some real budgetary constraints, some issues, and lots of bureaucracies, organizations are tightening their belts. One thing that will be clear as we get into budget season, as we get into other talks on other issues, is you'll learn I'm not in favor of additional taxes on the citizens, especially when they are distributed unequally. Flat taxes type of taxes, any increases that disproportionately affect people who are lower income. And so if we can find small ways to increase revenue, increase or save money, I'm going to be all for it. I think this is a small goodwill gesture that the trust for the Puget Sound Naval Museum could offer. I realize everybody's under budget constraints. We have, I guess there's some kind of issues going on nationally with the budget. I don't know. I don't really keep up on it. I do, but what I do know is I care about the city. I care about the citizens of Bremerton. I care about the people that come and visit here, the people that commune here. And what I'd like to see is us find creative ways to save money and generate money that do not put the burden onto the taxpayer in Bremerton. So thank you.
Does Councilmember Fry have a comment?
Yes, I do. I'm a big fan of the Navy Museum, and believe that it's quite attractive, to visitors. And I applaud the historical investments that both the Navy and the city have made. Shoot, there's going to be a park dedicated to the relationship between the city and the Navy. I mean, I learned a lot about that history when I was with the Chamber of Commerce because the chamber was involved in the beginning. Anyway, I digress. And yet, for all the reasons that my colleagues have mentioned, we have to ask ourselves, why are we so afraid of asking what's fair? I don't believe, I know that the Navy's a big operation and that this amount of money is a drop in the, proverbial bucket, and why rock the boat? Gosh, I'm using all these seaworthy analogies. And yet we're in times that dictate that we need to be asking those questions. And so, you know, I would rather us talk with the talk with the Navy and the foundation and continue talking about it. But I think I'm going to be with some of my other colleagues on this one, at
Okay.
least for now. Thanks.
So council, I can see the writing on the wall on this one. Before we call for the vote, the second round here, if you all would turn to the actual lease, which would be the third page on the 5A, it's number 6 in particular. So it's going to be page 61 of 94. And I can just summarize what's on there in that. It says the first item, the lessor shall furnish the government as part of the rental condition the following. A is water and electrical service. I believe that's what's in question. Ms. Monroe, is that what we're talking about? Utilities, water and electrical service? Does that accurately summarize what we discussed last week?
That's correct.
So instead of just voting this down, the council could amend this and our clerk could help us with wording, basically approving the contract, but not including the payment for water and electrical service. And so then we could approve this lease as we had discussed last Wednesday, and it's up to the Navy to decide if they want to accept those terms. Is that your understanding as well, Ms. Monroe?
That has been brought to them and it was turned down already.
I understand, but
Like
instead of waiting another 2 weeks, we could go ahead and approve our part saying,
Yeah,
we'll approve this as is with the exception of not paying for water and electrical service.
Yeah.
And then you could tell the Navy, I mean, the writing's on the wall where this is going.
Yeah.
So which would you rather have? No contract approved with that, or what's your preference?
well, I am a little concerned that you did not receive my new PowerPoint presentation in your
No.
packet.
Well, we did
you-
receive it via email.
You did receive it
Yeah.
via email. Okay, so you did have a chance to review that. I think one item that I did not dig into, but is important, I want to go back to the development of the Burwell Tunnel along Pacific Avenue. There are land transactions here, well beyond $20,000 annually, that the Navy has contributed to our Burwell access, to our tunnel access, as well as the park. So I think also there's additional factors. As you know, we are in the middle of a shutdown. So when I do go back to the Navy with this request again, second request, I will likely have different staff. They do use a very large contract management system. It will be going to Washington, D.C., and it is likely that some of that may be shut down for an unknown period of time. We simply don't know what that impact will be. So our return to this agreement will not likely be under the same contract specialists, nor, the systems that they utilize to manage their contracts are much different and much larger than the systems we use, with many different people going through them. So the system essentially has this contract loaded into it, and this is what they've agreed to in their budgets. So it could take quite a while, more than a year, before, and honestly unknown. There are just a lot of unknowns for me to go back to them at this point, and I think for them as well. We simply were not sure what the ramifications would be. And if we moved the agreement away from the Navy and from the DoD, and they are funding aspects of that, the exhibits, the placement of the exhibits, renewal of those exhibits, in addition, the climate control system, they are agreeing to manage and provide maintenance of that climate control system that's in the building, and have plans for additional improvements to the building. It really could change the maintenance and the exhibits that run in that building. It really could change the operations and the fact that that museum is operating at all. It does operate with volunteer staff through the Navy Museum Foundation. But the exhibits that are in place there, all of that comes through the Naval Heritage Command out of DC. So that is really why we are here tonight with it in the same format, because of unknowns at a larger scale. So that really is the reason. Now I can do that, but that's where we will be. That's where administration will be. I simply don't know what comes next for those staff. Now, if they get it into the system tonight as is, everything should stay as is. It's been funded through appropriations that have already been passed. But if it's not, I simply can't guarantee what will happen to it in the future. Will those exhibits be maintained? Will it be passed again? For how long? We don't know. So.
Okay, one second. So I'm still asking questions, and then thank you for all that. And then I'll open up the rest of the council and see if that may change their mind. But what happens? The lease is expired yesterday. So if this isn't passed tonight, are they on a month-to-month basis? That's usually the standard contract law for leases. If no agreement, you're on a month-to-month.
Correct. There is a holdover status. So we would stay in that way. Whereas,
Okay.
but I will say the agreement is loaded in their system. It's my understanding. So to update it or to change it could be challenging. And then, maybe it isn't. I just don't know. This is a series of unknowns for us. We chose the safer route in a variety of ways. We chose the safer route in regards to not wanting to, risk our other very large utility agreements for what we consider a smaller amount for a lease that is very different, with land transactions that are valued at, millions of dollars and very complex. I did not bring them all up here. I only brought the 5 parcels and the 2.5 acres, and then mentioned the Pacific Avenue purchases that the Navy brought. I did not bring all of the land transactions that were occurring, that really are part of the relationship here. But I will just say that, we can do that. Of course, I've heard the question, so I don't want you to feel in any way disrespect that, but I do want you to have that additional information. City's feeling that this is a risk analysis decision, that we stand to lose much more than we would gain from the change to this agreement. So, but most certainly, if you direct me to do so, it will happen. I will move forward in that direction again.
Sure, no worries. And one second, then I'll get to the rest of the council. So for the record, I'm for this, but I don't see the votes. So unless I see a change in direction from comments, we're either going to vote this down, I assume, or we can amend this. And I'd like to see which direction the council would like to go. With that, we'll go with Vice President Revlowski and then Councilmember Mockler. I'm sorry.
I agree.
Oh, I'm sorry. Because of a thing, I'm going to go with you first. Go ahead.
I don't know what the correct form is to say. I understand what you're saying about amending it right now. I literally don't have time for it. I have to walk out of here in 2 minutes. So I would like to call for the question. I don't know the parliamentary way to do that.
Is
Okay.
there a second?
Okay, so
Is there a second?
okay.
We do not have that. Okay, thank you. Vice President Revlowski.
Last year, you did a 1-year lease agreement. I think that we should just do a 1-year lease agreement and try to negotiate something better. And I mean, along with things that the residents of Bremerton have paid for, I'm not sure if everybody realizes it, but there's no property tax on the shipyard. And we do a lot to support them. And I'm very happy that maybe 20% of the people who work at the shipyard actually live in Bremerton. But I definitely would not vote for a 10-year extension at 0. I would go for 1 year for it to be renegotiated, though.
Ms. Monroe, can you come up here and address Vice President Revlowski? That sounds like a cleaner thing if we can get away with just doing a 1 year. That gives you 1 year to get this all loaded in the system, whatever magic has to be done on their end.
I do have a backup plan. So I do have a 1 year, another option that I think we can move forward. We could stay in holdover potentially. I don't know exactly how long we're going to want to stay in that. That isn't the same as a 1 year. But we do have, I think, a way forward with a 1 year, and we can see where we land, you know, what is going on at the federal level in 1 year, and will we end up in the same place? I can't guarantee you that, but, you know, so I will say there's a risk to it. Why we certainly didn't bring it to you is just we are concerned about the risks that even that holds. But of course, you know, we are working with our partners, and we are, you know, ready to keep things moving forward smoothly for them. So we can do that. Absolutely.
So sure, would you prefer us to amend this tonight to 1 year, or do you want to come before the council again if this gets voted down with a new contract with a duration of 1 year?
So I would actually prefer amending this to 1 year is harder for them and for
Okay.
us. So actually leaving this as it is the easiest way, because it is loaded in their system
Okay.
in this 10-year. So we do have another 1 year option where we believe we can keep operations going outside of this, and it doesn't have to come back to you
Okay.
for that 1 year. We can just keep that moving forward. So essentially we just won't come back to you for another year. And that's
Okay.
kind of how that will work. Yeah.
That's fine. 1 sec. Did we have any, someone's itching, I think, to make a motion. So, I think we have some clarity on which direction, if we're comfortable on voting on this, but do we have any other comments or questions? Go ahead, please.
Sorry. So I just have to ask, and I appreciate the lens of the risk analysis, but knowing that concerns were brought up over a year ago, last summer, that why did mayor and administration take so long to bring this back to council and right against the deadline here? And I know my fellow council member Denise Fries has her catchphrase of wait, hurry up. I have to ask.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when you are working with the Navy in this is a rather small contract to them. This is a small contract, but important. They had a variety of other activities that they needed to get funding for and take into account prior to getting this approved. So as you know, last year we did a roof replacement on the building. They've been through a variety of changes administration, you know, in their administration this year. So there has been a lot going on their end. They are the ones that provide this contract to us. They will not accept a city originated contract. So there is less that we can drive in this regards. They are going through the Navy Heritage Command to get appropriations for those exhibits. So a lot of it has to do with their timing and what they could provide us. So we could push on it, but it simply isn't necessarily going to work. You know, it just is a different group that you're working with. We do have to use their agreements, and they do have to be ready for us. So sort of a different negotiation plan when you're working with them.
Okay, Dave, you want to see if Councilmember Fry has a second go around here? She good?
Yeah, I would actually, I wanted to just give feedback that I know how small of a contract this is. And as I said, I know it's a drop in the bucket for the Navy and yet a really important one. I would think then that we could assume that the Navy is not going to jeopardize its relationship with the city of Bremerton over a $20,000 utility allowance or whatever. And ascertaining that they might, I think is it's misleading if that's what the information I'm online. So, and Melinda, I'm afraid I can't hear you all the time. But that's what I picked up online, and I certainly don't want us to be persuaded by that argument of fearing the big guy. Anyway, that's it for me.
Any other questions? I'll call for the question. We had a motion before us. You wanted to amend it?
Well, I was either thinking of, I can't think of the term right now, taking it back or,
So I
I
believe
it-
Ms. Monroe wanted it to either vote it up or down, and then she has a 1 year that doesn't have to
Yeah.
go to the council. So if you're comfortable with that, or I can withdraw my call for the question if you want.
yeah, can you do that at least?
I withdraw my
I'd
call
like
for
to
the question.
please
Sure, go ahead.
speak. So, I completely support us getting funding from, for this building. I think that's fair and equitable. And I'm somebody who operates a historic building where there's one around the corner that has a similar rent deal. It's not the same. So I brought up last week that we should have any tenant of a city-owned building. But kind of what Ms. Monroe is saying, it's gonna take a while. It could easily take more than a year. It could take 4 years to get somewhere on this. But they're not working right now technically, I guess, but we've got advocates that are in DC that represent us. But I think that we can make this happen, and then we just have to, it's gonna take a little bit of time. So whether we stay in holdover or amend to do a 1 year, I'm fine with. I think, at least from what Ms. Monroe's telling us, it took them most of the year just to get this to us, and it was probably because somebody's, reminder went off that this was expiring. So I don't know, I guess it doesn't really matter.
President Younger,
I'm
he
kind
could
of,
withdraw his motion,
That's
his
what- yeah.
original main motion, and make a new motion.
I think he's asking for guidance, and Ms. Monroe, I believe.
Well,
Indicated that she'd prefer us to either vote it up or down, and then the Navy come up with a new contract. Is that correct, Ms. Monroe? That is
but
correct.
as the motion maker, I'm sort of beholden to vote yes, so.
Oh, I see. No, you're just not supposed to speak against
Against
the
it.
motion.
Oh,
You
okay.
can vote however you want after the discussion.
All right, so what's the preferred way to move forward with what you think we want?
Yeah, so if we could vote on the agreement as it is, if that does not pass, we do have a holdover status. We have a 1 year lease option. And then we'd be coming back to this agreement, in a new way, at the end of that 1 year period.
And for you,
And
that's,
hopefully soon.
and for you,
Hopefully
that's
soon.
preferred over just not taking action tonight at all. Gives you a little bit of something to take back.
Not taking action. Okay, I missed that.
Yeah, so I can just withdraw the motion.
Advice on that myself. Yeah, that's it. Let me think about that one. Yeah.
So if I go weigh in, I would prefer that the council, if able to not take action, we just communicate to the Navy that we would like to go into holdover status, that we'd like to continue to negotiate with what was requested. of them.
Councilmember Goodenow, would you like to withdraw your motion?
Council President, I'd like to withdraw my motion.
Okay, thank you.
Hold on.
Oh, wait, we don't even need a second on that. So we don't, so let's see, I'm gonna actually, for the main motion, do I have someone that's going to make the motion? Seeing, so no, he withdrew that.
He withdrew
So
his
does
motion.
anybody wish to make a motion on this item? Or a different motion? Seeing none, Councilmember Fry does not have her hand up, correct?
No.
Okay, so the action failed. We're not going to discuss, we did discuss it. We're not going to take action on it tonight.
Correct.
Goodness gracious, thank you for your
Thank you.
patience, folks. What do they say about politics, sausage making and all that stuff? I don't know, whatever. Okay. Hey, Mayor, welcome. Mayor's report.
All right, good evening, Council President, councilors. Few slides here. All right, just an update of what happened this last weekend on Sunday. We unveiled the new Quincy Jones statue down on Quincy Square. So Great event, well attended. It was hosted and organized mainly by the NAACP in partnership with the city of Bremerton. And in attendance was the Suquamish Tribal Chairman Leonard Forsman and members of Quincy's family. So a lot of great remarks, a good community event, and it just almost completes the infrastructure portion of this project. So next slide will explain a little more about what is left. So the interpretive signage will complete this project, which we expect to have soon and ready for installation about mid-October. Here's some of the historical artifacts, or just kind of points in time of our history in our city that haven't been documented, in ways that are open for the general public. And so all of this is history up here. You'll get to review some of it, and down on Quincy Square. And this is just an example of what's down there. Next slide, please. All right. Kitsap Regional Transportation Plan, as many of you know, the city of Bremerton is a member of the Puget Sound Regional Coordinating Council, and that requires quite a bit of involvement, a lot from me and from you also on the various committees that we serve on. A lot of it gears towards transportation, how we plan our cities and our communities, where we invest, where population will grow. Well, what follows right along with that is transportation. And so when the question sometimes gets asked, how will we pay for things while we grow as a community? There's different avenues to do that, but one of them is while we plan in accordance with the Growth Management Act and the guidelines from PSRC, along with our neighboring 3 counties. And by doing that, we maintain eligibility to go out for state and or federal funds. And that's what you've been seeing myself and past administrations do over the years. We bring home those dollars, and it's to fund, as you see, fund the infrastructure needed to support growth. And that meeting is coming up October 30th. And the importance of this one is, even though we all communicate our needs at the regional level, I represent you on several boards. And we communicate with our legislators. This is one more chance for the community to directly address the regional staff with our needs. And so we talk about ferry needs. We talk about different investments in transit, roads, bicycling, and walking, all of that. This is the forum to do that in. They'll hear from the community directly. So again, October 30th, 5 to 7 p.m. at the Marvin Williams Recreation Center. All right, next slide. Now this one's also, and these are all important, but for folks in the audience, maybe viewing on television, the city of Bremerton is an entitlement community. And so we have, and it's mainly based on income, average incomes of our citizens. So we qualify for HUD funds, so Community Development Block Grant funds based on income. And there's a lot of different ways you can distribute and appropriate those funds. And this is obviously administered by the city, but council ultimately decides on the policy and also the direct appropriations to applicants. So there's a range of things for individuals to consider, providing input for. It can address blight, it can address infrastructure, it can address programs or buildings that might support things that help our vulnerable citizens. So, and there's more. And so this is why I'm putting this up here. The public has till October 30th to provide input for your consideration as you go forward to make your recommendations and then ultimately approve the 5-year plan. And even if folks do not know what they should be asking for or considering, they should still contact the city. We can provide that information on how best to participate. This one here, again, written public comments now through October 30th, and you can see the link up on the screen. Next slide. All right, another important document you've been hearing from myself and our Parks Director about the PROS plan, Parks and Recreation Open Space Plan. And this is also a very detailed, very much involved community event, community effort where we've been soliciting input. And we want this plan to reflect our community's desires. So the commission approved, the Parks and Rec Commission approved it, the draft plan on the 23rd. Commerce is now reviewing it. They begin the 60-day review period. The draft plan is available. I'm reading right off of the bullets here, but you'll get a presentation November 12th, and of course, December 3rd, 17. We are anticipating action and adoption. So again, this is a culmination of a lot of work from our Parks Department, from you, who've been communicating this as the avenue to be heard, to get this on our priority list. Next slide. And I just wanted, this is something that is fun. We have a great First Friday Art Walk, but Joshua Gould from the Parks and Recreation staff is a featured artist. And I wanted to highlight this, Remax down on 257 4th Street. If you head down, this event's hosted by the West Sound Arts Council, Bremerton Creative District, and Remax, and it's Arttober art show. And I wanted, hopefully you'll come down, anybody that's viewing will come down, look at the other art, and just recognize that one of these talented individuals creating this art down there is a city employee. Wanted to share that with you. And that concludes my report tonight, Council.
Thank you, Mayor. Our last item up tonight is the council member reports. This is an opportunity for council members to provide an update on any issues or events taking place in their district, announce any events that you recently attended or plan to attend, or speak on any other city-related topic. Since this is the first council business meeting in a month, we'll start with Council Member Chamberlain. Go ahead, please.
Hey, friends. What people tuning in can't see is the amount of children we have here today. This is amazing. To me, you are perhaps the most important people in this room right now, are the folks that are under the age of 16. Yeah, he's feeling a little happy because he's mentioned. He feels a little bit of pride, and that's good. I have a little poem I'd love to read to you. It's called The Rainbow in Our Town. Our town was built with steady hands, with shining streets and hopeful plans. The people worked, the people cared, and dreamed a place where all are spared. But still one question lingered near: is everyone truly welcome here? The children spoke, their voices bright. My family may not look the same, but love is love, there is no shame. I have 2 moms who tuck me tight and read me stories every night. I have 2 dads who cheer my game. They shout my number and my name. Some kids have 1, some kids have 2, and every kind of love is true. Another child raised their hand. I don't fit neatly in your plan. Some call me boy, some call me girl, but really it's just me in this world. I like the freedom to be strong, to sing my song, to just belong. And when I see the rainbow high, I know there's room for me nearby. The people paused, their hearts beat fast, and smiles began to spread at last, for every voice had found its place, and every story gave the town more grace. And so our town began to see that love is love, and all are free. Each shade, each heart, each shining hue makes a brighter me and you. When rain falls heavy, skies turn gray, a rainbow always finds its way. It shines to show both far and near. Every color is welcome here, and now our town stands proud and tall, a home of love that welcomes all. For when each color shines its part, a rainbow grows in every heart. I'd really love for you to keep bringing your kiddos to this meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Fry.
Thank you. If I could get some slides up. Thanks. You can go on to the next one. Um, this week's big news for those of you who didn't attend our study session last week is that the proposed site for our low barrier hybrid shelter has been made public. And that was revealed to us last week at our study session. And I just have I want to educate the community a little bit about where this is. I also want to remind you that I've been advocating for this shelter since it was proposed 2 years ago, and I was a strong proponent of the ill-fated Swing Set Mall location on Wheaton. So certainly not speaking out just because this is in my district. The site selected by the consortium, the Kitsap Affordable Housing Consortium, is truly, it's a long vacant piece of property near the corner of Sheridan and Wheaton Way. It's a 5-acre parcel, which is a lot bigger than we had originally been told. It was formerly owned by CHI Franciscan, and it's within our city's Harrison Heights sub-area plan for redevelopment. You know that's a big focus of the cities and of mine. It's also across the street from a large swath of property, many acres owned by Bremerton School District, and is right now the site of not one, but 2 elementary schools, both Arminjar's temporary school site and the new View Ridge Elementary School site are across the street from the proposed site. Granted, they're behind a field, but you know what? They're behind a play field. They're behind a children's play field. I want to make it clear to the public that I have made my concerns, these concerns that I'm sharing with you about the site, known to the partner agency's leadership for over a year. And I was disappointed. I still have confidence that we can get a shelter. There's not much that the city council can do right now or will do, or this is not our project, and there's no matters for us to decide yet, but there will be zoning and permitting issues related to the project that will come before city council in the coming months. And we've just been asked to come up with $1 million in additional funding on an annual basis to operate the shelter. We'll be discussing this during our budget considerations in November. I know that our current, city council and the one that'll be sworn in January, I know that we're going to consider these decisions as thoughtfully as we always do. And I have trust in our process. I want you to know that. But I could not maintain my integrity without sharing this at this point. There will be other opportunities. I want my constituents to know what is going on. I also want to let you know that, we're going to go ahead to another slide, please. Yeah, this gives you a different, this is actually a slide I used when I was congratulating the Housing Authority for its Wheaton Landing project. I use this because it's right down there. I cut this a little bit, but it just shows you how close this is to a school. At Boys and Girls Club is there, of course, the community gym. And speaking of the community gym, my last slide. There, was a big bond. So the Bremerton School District likes to let you know what they're doing with your money. And it was a lot of money. But this is coming up on Monday, October 6th from 6 to 7 at that East Bremerton Community Gym. I'm planning on attending, and it's also a great opportunity to take a walk over to the shelter site, and let us know. Let us know what you're thinking. You can always reach me or any of us by writing the city council at city.council at bremertonwa.gov. So that's it for me tonight. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Fry. Councilmember Coughlin.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President. Well, let me just start because I need to say I really respect the decision the Council President made and the power you invested in him. But it deeply unsettles me to be suspending public recognition. And I hope we bring it back as soon as possible, because even though folks can yell at me all they want, they can say whatever they want about me, whether true or not. I signed up for this, and I really value that opportunity to give input, no matter what it is. And so I really hope we bring it back as soon as possible, because I think it is extremely valuable to hear from folks on whatever topic that they may have on their mind that's related to the city. But with that, we'll go to my first slide. This is something that's in my district, and I've gotten a lot of questions about, so just wanted to speak to it, which is the sinking of this tugboat Dominion in the Bremerton Marina. The marina is controlled by the Port of Bremerton, which is a different entity than the city. But folks who live aboard ships in the marina are city residents and vote for both, council and mayor and all that. And so there is a unified command response that is overseeing the operations on this boat and the environmental impact. And that unified command consists of the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife, Focus Wildlife, Clean Harbors Environmental, the Port of Bremerton, Washington State Department of Ecology, and the U.S. Coast Guard. And the latest update I have is that they are bringing in a crane that should get installed tomorrow to start lifting up the tugboat, expected to start the day after tomorrow. And so there's already been obviously some oil and other chemicals released from this boat, and they've been responding to that. And they will be monitoring and containing and mitigating as much as they can as they lift the boat as well. But I wanted folks to know that if they ever see any affected wildlife, there is a number to call. That is 1-800-22-BIRDS. So 1-800-22-BIRDS. If you notice any oil wildlife in the area, for them to respond to and to reach out, mostly as the Port of Bremerton as the main contact if you see any other issues on this or concerns. So it is deeply unfortunate that this occurred, but I just wanted to give an update on the mitigation plans in progress. And next slide. All right. Speaking of sinking ships, I have to talk about our city budget. I have to. Folks know I've been vocal about this as we head into budget season and as the council's finance chair. I made this graph trying to make it simple as possible here. And so what it shows is Kitsap County's general fund and our Bremerton general fund. And for 2024 and prior, it's the actual amount in black of the revenue that came in, and in red, the expenditures that went out. And for 2025, it's our latest city based on the monthly status budget report projection for year end for total amount spent and received. And then on the top is the county's projections going out to 2028. And so what I want to highlight is that for the 2024 and 2025, Kitsap County in 2025 saw their expenditures just a bit above their revenue. And this year, they really enacted a rapid budget response. They did a hiring pause. They put out a call for feedback from the public on what their priorities are. You might have just seen a headline that they're making some tough decisions on what to cut. But that is because as they look to next year to 2026 predictions, they saw that expenditure was starting to far exceed the revenue. So they acted quickly to really get ahead of this and make sure that they weren't outspending what they're bringing in. And I want to highlight our own projected city for 2025 alone is there has been no hiring freeze. There has been no proposed cuts yet. And we are projected to outspend our revenues by a significant amount, eating into our savings. And so I am really urging administration as they come forward this budget season to bring forth a list of proposed cuts or proposed revenues, some sort of action to really mitigate this, that we don't keep eating into our savings and that we end up with our bare minimum cash on hand and living month to month of the city. And next slide just ties into this. So this was some news from a week ago. So our state faced a really hard discussion the past year or two on the budget as well. They made significant cuts. They increased revenue in different ways. There's a new sales tax that just went into effect today, affecting different services in the state. And a bunch of headlines that came out depending on what number of years you count, range from 500 to 900 million potential shortfall statewide for projected tax revenue. So as I'm looking at the state news, it's not looking great. And if the state as a whole is not looking at a lot of new revenue coming in from sales tax, then as a city, I'm guessing it's the same. And I know we'll get into this more in budget season, and we have really fantastic staff that dig into the details and will help us through this. But I just have to keep saying out loud, we can't sit on our hands here. We have to take action to address this. All right, but on to happier news, my last slide. The children are the future. Great to see kids here at the meeting. I want to commend the Kitsap Children's Museum. I was happy to be their sponsor for space of the Roanoke's Government Center here. We had all the kids in the room here building Box City. So they were picking different components of cities to build, planning out roads and infrastructure, really designing their own city and learning how a city operates. And they even had this great ballot on the left of, what would you like in your city if you could only spend money on one thing, doing a soccer field, a beach, a playground. I didn't get the results of that election yet. I got to find out what the most popular thing was, but I love the combination of civic engagement and this great group that's getting more kids activities throughout the city. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Vice President Rivlowski.
Thank you. I think I just have one slide tonight. I'm gonna have well, first I wanted to say something about our modification for the time being of public recognition. I don't, if somebody's gonna stand out there and tell me I'm an idiot, I'm stupid, I'm corrupt, go ahead, but you don't get to say it to our staff. And that's what we're trying to find, a safe way for our staff to be here, come to our business meeting and help present to the rest of you. So we're going to work hard, and public recognition will be back, but it's probably going to be modified a little bit. Okay, can I have my slide, please, Dave? On October 16th, I'm going to host a district meeting. And it's actually for anybody in the city who would like to come. It's at the Bremerton Food Line. It starts at 5. We go to about 6:30. If you would like to bring some non-perishable food items, that would be great. And what we're going to talk about is the council goals. We put together goals for 2025, 2026. Some of them we've gotten done. Some of them we're still working on, and some of them we haven't moved forward much on them at all. But I want to explain what we have done and then have the public tell me what you would like us to focus on next year. When we generally have a meeting late January, early February with all of council and all of our senior staff, and the public's welcome to come and observe, where we make our goals, what we want to do for the next couple of years. And it's a rolling list. So I hope you come and attend, and let's have a productive meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Goodnow.
Do I have any slides? Okay. Oh, perfect. So this past weekend, we did a ribbon cutting of the Wyckoff Overpass murals. It's been a project in the works for a while. Danielle Rimbert really headed that up and designed. So if you can kind of see The city painted the walls blue as sort of a base, a little bit of preservation. I think we had to get state permission to do that, if I recall. And then Danielle came up with a design that's kind of lower just to have some stuff. And then there was a contest. It was basically an anonymous contest. So folks who were voting didn't know who the artist was. Those teeny tiny looking pieces of art are about 5 feet tall. So the photo sort of doesn't do it justice. Even when you're there, it's much easier to take in. But it was a really wonderful day. There was just a lot of folks out, the city folks who were involved were there. And so I just want to congratulate them on the hard work. I sometimes tell the group, if you think the city's going to solve your problems, you're much better to get started on it on your own. They're doing great things down there, and their time will come, and we'll hopefully do some great stuff down there. But until that day comes, they're doing it on their own, and I'm very proud of them. And that's right. Halloween is coming up October 25th, 5 to 9 p.m. And they do a kind of like a haunted walk through like cars from the junkyard that they tow in. It's kind of cool. There's some other stuff going on too. October 25th, 5 to 9 p.m. And so check it out. It's a great time. I think that's the last one. Yes. I'm proud to sponsor it too this year since I'm running unopposed. So I took my war chest. Is what it is. That was my last one though. Yes. Okay. I just want to, we're talking about some of this stuff with public recognition from a couple weeks ago. And I just, so many people have reached out or, directly, or I've seen some posts on Facebook or seen folks show up and supportive, and I feel like I'm seeing, the real Bremerton, the Bremerton that I love and believe in. And I just want to thank everybody. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Mockler's had to leave, but I believe she's got a slide. I've seen the slide. I'll pinch it for her. So she's going to have a Government 101 at her District 6 October Town Hall. And the time you can see on the slide is 5 to 6:30 p.m. on October 13th. And that will be at the same place she usually has her meetings, at the Public Works Conference Room at 100 Oyster Bay Avenue North, right here in Bremerton. At this meeting, you'll learn how to raise concerns and get results. Here from Bremerton One, the folks that have our app, learn the best way to report non-emergency issues to the city of Bremerton. I think that's all she had with Dave, was that one slide, correct? Okay, I don't need my slides being shown. So that'll be it for the slides, please. And then, at the start of the meeting, I had my prepared comments, but I tell you, I brought this item up on this public recognition pause last Wednesday at the end of the meeting. It bothered me to bring it up. I didn't want to do it, but I felt I had no choice. We have council. This isn't new. I mean, we've had council rules and procedures in this area of public recognition, and what can be said and what can't be said has been addressed. So under Rule 9, under public recognition, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it says any member of the public is provided an opportunity to address the council and mayor on issues not on the agenda. We say that during the council meeting. It goes on to say no member of the public shall engage in discussion or comment, and then it lists several items, one of which is that is obscene, indecent, or libelous. And it goes on with other things. That's all good and well. I won't say the problem. The fact of the matter is that the First Amendment trumps all that. Okay. So yeah, the council in years past has this in the rules and procedure, and that is best practice. And that's what we hope that our citizens, anybody that's participating in this process, will follow these rules. But for public recognition, the First Amendment, basically, you remember a couple of years ago, we had the unfortunate thing where the caller came in on a Zoom call and said all those bad things. We had to allow that because even though it was hate speech, because of the First Amendment, okay? And so how did the council address that? We've made a requirement that you had to provide 24-hour notice to the city clerk. So we kind of ascertain, okay, who's calling in? Because before it was just anonymous, right? So now we've got this situation where a few people are doing what they're doing, and I'm not going to get into specifics, but it's against the established norms on how we should conduct our council meetings, right? I think most of us are in agreement that perhaps almost a year now, things have been kind of disjointed. A few people have been not following the procedures that we usually follow. So we put a pause, and we're going to have to come up with a solution that respects the First Amendment, but also respects our council rules and procedures. Now, for public comment on agenda items, my saving grace is if the comments aren't germane to the agenda item, then I can stop that person. Okay, that's the difference between public recognition and public comment on agenda items. So hopefully that's clear on the difference there. You're still always welcome for public comment on any agenda item. But if it's not germane to the topic, then I'm allowed to say, hey, please stay germane to the topic. All right. Hey, folks, that's enough of that. Reminder that next regular study session will be on Wednesday, October 8th, beginning at 5 p.m. in 6th floor council conference room with a remote option by Zoom. That concludes tonight's agenda. This meeting's adjourned.